Good morning in New York. Good morning over the world. It is 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. And welcome again. Every Thursday, you find you change the world, and we are getting back to traction. We'll have our guests coming up and joining very soon in the next few weeks. We can see change the world in the live event on different channels in social media, uh, among them LinkedIn, Instagram, uh, and you've got uh, all the other ones, Facebook, um, and Twitter, X, and YouTube. And for the YouTube, please subscribe, because subscribing to YouTube and our channel means for us a lot. And that will be also really a great source of inspiration to come with incredible topics each week. They are coming, these topics, as you know, from different things, but mainly the experience of coaching clients, individuals and teams, groups of people. This is, in fact, more recent, but I've been dedicated a lot of time, coaching teams. And that's really usually about performance or how teams relate and communicate with different stakeholders in an organization, whichever organization. The experience of organizations is an experience of community, of a group of people that live under the same roof or share the same company and source of revenue. They go to work, it's a workplace, and they're very thankful every day to have a job. It's not easy in these days to have a stable job. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. Everybody, if you are paying attention to the media and the news, you get very concerned. I'm not even sure, or I'm suspicious that behind the news there is always an intention to create an incredible amount of fear. Of course, it's scary. There is wars around and many crises, but there is also an intention to create this uncertainty. So it's again my incredible, you know, permanent and constant call to you and to everybody I relate with and are related to please reconnect to yourself and be autonomous. Disconnect your dependence, right, on this news or anything else. Have your own opinion, be yourself. Stick to your core values no matter what. No matter what. Like a captain on a boat, your own boat. If this is sinking because of external phenomena, even it would be a storm, you still can keep your head straight and be responsible for yourself and your dear ones and make your own choices. I'm sorry, but history has proven, history all along, that media, and they know it, for example, and the news, are incredibly influential and they can wash brains like you have no idea. I'm very afraid of some cultures. And I'm sorry, this is not a political show, as you know, it's a business show, it's a coaching show. And because it's coaching and it's about leadership, I feel an obligation to share my view, as I'm trying very much and strongly and stick to it extremely, with a harsh, will and strong persistence and tenacity to stick to my own choices. And I just want to try to inspire around me everybody to do the same, because it's too annoying. And I was about to say something about cultures. And there is some cultures, even especially in huge countries, huge continents, and the US is one of them. Russia is another one, right? India, China, all those big blocks, Indonesia. Can you imagine? Those are huge countries with hundreds of millions of citizens, of people that share different things in common. If it's not the economy or pay taxes, when they pay taxes, it's not a subscription. It's not that you chose and subscribed. You have to put some trust in that the money you are giving to your country is going to help something. It's going to be a constructive money. So now the politics gets involved. And then the money takes another direction. It takes the direction of other people who make decisions how to use this money. They create a budget, but democracy hopefully is still there to some extent, that there is different opinions, and they reach a consensus and vote for a budget, and then it's spent, the budget, in a way that usually represents somehow the voice and the will of every citizens. But it is an ideal dream that I don't think we really can say happens the way it should. So now this is the politics. This is the country size. What I was about to say, which is very important to me, it's one of my core values, is to this autonomy, this independence, which is the key to democracy, really. If I moved to this country, for example, myself as a French person, it's because I wanted to have a culture around me that was entrepreneurial, giving me and giving my children, grandchildren, a possibility to express themselves, to be themselves, and to make their own choices, and eventually even create jobs and their own companies if they would be entrepreneurial. And I had this opportunity several times myself, and create jobs and opportunities, and using your experience and leveraging many of your values to make the world a better place, really, with a real strong intention, and making those values the core values of yourself without any compromises. And what I'm trying to say is that in big countries, in big nations, there's a tendency, it's something natural, that it's the population is captive, can receive an influence and kind of comply to it like a uniform. And I'm thinking of China when I say that. When there was Mao, right, Mao Zedong, and people were wearing the same exact clothes, same color, the Mao club, excuse me, the Mao color, right? They all dressed the same way. They all complied with a uniform. And I think that's a very interesting sign. I'm all for uniforms in the professional setting when it's about customer service or when it's about patients, because it gives a discipline to the staff, and a sense of belonging to all what the brand represents. And it's also kind of I go to work, I put something on me, a clothes, like I go on a stage in a theater and I put a costume on me. Not saying that people are fake. It's just something that has to do with the brand, with the message, with the service, with the quality, with the hygiene. If it's, for example, a hospital, I never understood these people walking in the street with their surgery costume, the surgery uniform, because it's meant for hygiene. It's meant to stay in a very hygienic environment, not meant to go to the street with it. They don't have the time maybe to change, to have a bite and then go back to their surgery room. But I really tell you, I'm very bothered by that when I see this in the street. I'm going all over the place here, sorry, but it's all about uniform. That's why I bring this point. Uniform is a dangerous thing in terms of the mind of people and how they can be brainwashed. I'm very scared by that. Very scared, because history has proven that nations, the most intelligent cultural nations, have been affected by bad influences and politicians who had bad intentions to enroll everybody into things that were evil, right? We can just think of Germany, most intellectual and cultural country, and really impossible to understand how minds could have been so captured, so kidnapped by an ideology, and then believe in it and apply that ideology and make the worst crimes in the world and in humanity. That's what I'm afraid of. That's why I'm constantly telling you, please be yourself, individual, trust your values, trust yourself. And I think part of my coaching really is to try to, when I see the opportunity, because this is what people want, they want to reconnect with themselves. If someone is not sure, is lack self-confidence, or is performing a presentation and is very introverted, right? Very good example. That person has a lot of things to address and practice with a coach is the best way to do it, to regain that connection with themselves, and then they will have the best voice, posture to convey a message and present themselves. Even they would be introverted, they could use this introversion, in fact, as an incredible asset and use it to their benefit and the benefit of their audience. But when it is captured, when it is controlled, and you have to understand that in politics, many people have the agenda to control the citizens, to control these individuals. And I'm sorry to tell you, ideologically, that I always resisted it instinctively, because I come probably from also a background of people who have been captured, who have been deported, and all of these situations. And that's probably my DNA, that when I see something that comes up, or a system that puts itself in place, that prepares this kind of field, of space, where it is possible to enroll and to brainwash people, I get scared, obviously. That's why I'm saying that. In the middle of this election in the US, which I'm not liking, which I'm not watching. Didn't watch the debate. I just watched or listened in my car while I was commuting to New York City from where I live. I listened to the after debate comments on different channels. I really go all over the place. I have no preference for a left or a right wing radio or news. I know they are tinted, completely tinted by politics. So they all are biased, and they are all biased to a certain extent, more than others, but there is definitely bias in there. So how can I trust it? All I'm listening to was, oh, there was this kind of thing that this candidate said, and this other candidate said, and that's it. And sometimes they broadcasted an extract of this debate, so I could hear a few parts of what one candidate said and another candidate said, and also how the facilitators, the moderators, were conducting this debate. And I was disgusted probably after 3 minutes. I would say 3 minutes. I said, no, this is not the right setting. There is 70 or 50 million people watching this, and they must be all completely trusting that it is well done and it is done without bias. Bias was everywhere, all over the place in this 90 minutes, I think, performance that has an influence in people. That's why I'm saying again, if you keep your autonomy of trust, of thinking and trusting yourself, I think you are touching to greatness, because you give yourself and everybody around you the opportunity to be free to think as who you would think if you would not be influenced by anything. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We have hands attached to some doctrine and ideology that do not belong to us. They've been told to us. There are people who use all kind of ways, and very professionally so, to try to convince a massive amount of people, and use different other people to make the noise and everything, and use celebrities and this and that. It's absolutely, absolutely intended, and it's intended for evil, because they're not giving an opportunity for people to choose. They don't want people to just be hypnotized, brainwashed. And I think, unfortunately, the smartest people, they can follow all kind of trend, you know. And the fact is that, for example, I always saw the U.S. is a very good example of a nation which is extraordinary, an exceptional nation. Again, I moved to this country for a reason. Exceptional country, exceptional opportunity from so many people of all the backgrounds you can imagine of the world. And unfortunately, it's not alone. It has to be, part of a government and the system, and the system is sometimes completely, screwed up. And this is really very, very much ashamed. So what I'm trying to say in this place, where I usually talk about business, about uh, organizational leadership. It's the same. It's leadership. And I think that felt after this is the week where it's covered everywhere about this debate and about politics and about the upcoming elections, they are coming closer, is that I don't know what to do myself. Should I go to vote or not? If my ballot is going to go to the direction I want, even that is not a certainty. So I am telling you, it is not an easy place today. For no one, it is easy. And it is even worse. And now I'm going to the next part of this broadcast today, which is the corporate politics. We talk a lot about this, and we call it sometimes by another name. We call it by navigating, the matrix, operating in the matrix. What does it mean, the matrix? It's a new kind of innovative kind of organization where we add some layers of management so that we have more quality sometimes or for other reasons, but we have to kind of make it more horizontal and start to dismantle a little bit ownership, dismantle ownership of a project, for example, that a group of people would do from A to Z until now in this previous organization, the pyramid type of organization, versus now in the matrix one, where we are spreading the project among different teams. People do a piece of the job, and then it's passed on over to another team. And this is a huge amount of frustration for those people who like to be part of a project that goes from A to Z and see it completed, get also some credit that they were part of this work and that effort, and be rewarded for their efforts. This is the kind of dissipating, of diluted into a very large, when it's a large organization, into a very large kind of ocean where things are not that organized as they seem to be. What I'm trying to say here, again, with politics, again, is that we are living in illusions, or we have to trust a kind of a story, a narrative that will tell us something that will sound extremely credible. But there is no systems, believe me, none whatsoever, that is perfect today, especially when an organization scales to the size of places all over the world that you have an additional, you add all up the number of employees, full-time employees, and you come sometimes to the millions of employees. This kind of size, how can you really control this in a way that really you think that there is no, that you really control, in other words, and all the best practices and all the processes really are clean and functional. In a very large organization, it's like anything. When you blow a bubble from soap or from this bubble liquids for toys for the kids, at one point you blow, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it pops, because everything is limited in this world. Everything is limited in this world. And that limit, we never know where it is. We know, oh, it's going to break even when we start up a company at the third or the fourth year. And now from the break even point, we're going to expand and we're going to start hiring people. We're going to get to the stage 2 and the stage 3 of our growth. We can look at the scaling plan and an expansion plan, but we never know where it goes. And at one point, again, I think it loses some foundations, and very solid foundations, because it gets too big, and then it's out of control. Too much, to some extent. I'm not going to exaggerate it, but yes, I'm one of those who believe that there is not really good systems after a certain. It's not only size, by the way. It's not only size. Can be also complexity of the kind of business you have and you run or you're part of. But what it is that organizations, whichever they are, and the most recent, architectures of organizations, let's call it that way, the matrix being one of the most recent, do not function very well. Let's be very honest about this. Now, when you add the politics to that, politics, let's define this very clearly. What is politics in an organization, like what it is politics in general? But let's say in organizations, what does it mean? Well, it means agenda. It means that people, from their intentions, create an agenda to the benefit of a group of people, or a selection of people who are going to do whatever has to be done to give the benefits to this group of people. It's a kind of division, if you will. By definition, politics divides. That's what I think. Because in essence, there is an agenda. And this agenda has to be driven so that they reach their goals. And they will do whatever it needed, sometimes nothing, really not very honest things, not even decent, not even human to some extent. They're going to lose all their values for just the sake of politics. And when politics takes over, I'm making that statement clear and net clear, it divides. So I am not a very big fan of politics, but we have to deal with it. We have to navigate the system. And when you do so, all I think we should do and never compromise on is to keep our core values. I think this is really the message I want to. If I convey that message to you, I think I did exactly my job for today. In this show, You Change the World, with as this very pompous name that I found out, it was not about me or about producing a show that has this name. It's about the fact that I recognize and I learned in my life that every individual I come across, sometimes people who think they are insignificant because of their titles or because they are just at the entry level, of an organization, they think they're not significant enough. They're all so significant. Everybody's so meaningful. It's because everybody and each of anyone that I meet and who are belonging to an organization, each individual is changing the world. Why? Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they have no idea that they are changing the world. If you help someone, just get back to his feet or her feet because they just lost hope, or because you saw that being part of a team, this person needed help, and you got that person back to a certain track, thanks to you, thanks to your kindness, your generosity of giving time, of giving competencies, of whatever that you gave to this person, give more clarity to that person, you change that person's life. And it's very well known that we say that a life is a whole world by itself, is a whole universe by itself. And that's why when someone dies, when a life is lost in a war or anywhere and on any side of the equation, it's losing a part of the world. It's losing a whole world. That person is disappearing from the face of the earth much sooner than probably was planned in a logical way. But in a divine way, if people believe in the divine, this was meant to be that way, and that loss is a loss. It's a vacuum, and this person leaves the world in sometimes dramatic circumstances. And this is why there's so many tragedies, and we are feeling the pain because we lose these people. When you save someone's life, you keep that person on earth, thanks to you, without you knowing yet that you changed that person's life, or you saved that person's life. We do this in our lives. There is no question. People who work in healthcare have that feeling when they save someone's life, when they are part of, that team and they are the ones in charge. They have a role, and the role that they play is, well, at the end of the day, when they see everything else, they see that they change a family's life because they could save this person. Now, someone in an ambulance, an ambulatory driver who has some training or any kind of, healthcare provider can be a direct, agent of a life-saving situation. But we, in our current lives and in our roles, not necessarily in healthcare, we can also change and impact people's life. Now, that's the positive side of things. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me optimistic. But if I look at the political scene, which is the theme of today, when I see that politics is usually toxic in an organization, usually, not always, and if it's needed, it's never done wisely, never, because there is always an agenda. There's always a group of people or one individual who will spoil it and make it toxic. And this is why politics is a dangerous thing. So staying out of the radar screen, as we say, is one way. you flee the old space and you think that by doing that you are saved and protected from it, but it's not true. So then what do you do? What is the choice to make? I come back to my point. I will always come back to my point. This is the consistency I have because I just discovered this through my lifetime to this day and never had contradictions to this. It was always the same story. And the story is if I stick to my values, if I stick to my own individual opinion, and if I trust myself that I have some wisdom in my mind, and that when I think something, for example, by me, intuition is important. What my gut says to me, I know, say to me, I know that I have to trust it because it's been proven all the time that when I have an intuition about something, it's proven true. So then I can gain confidence in myself that I have intuition and I have to trust it. And I think you should do the same. But this is one example. Intuition is one resource you might have, like I do, and I'm very, grateful to have that, and hopefully will keep this for the rest of my life. Is that intuition helped me so many times to make the right choices or to see backwards that, if I would have chosen the other way or followed this political trend, I would have been lost, really, in oblivion, total oblivion. It's never win-win. So maybe one way to analyze this, one trick, one tip, I don't know, is to find always the angle of win-win. It's a win-win situation. And if it's not, don't go there. That's it. You're in a negotiation, you want to make a deal. Why do you want the other party to be losing? That's not about win and lose when you negotiate. Absolutely not. I don't want the other party to lose money. I never wanted that in my business life when I negotiated a deal, that the other side should be losing money at all. For me, I think all the best deals that I signed in my life and brought a lot of good things to the company I worked for, or I worked or my own company, the plural, was when I came with this mindset, this growth mindset, and this win-win mindset that was sincere and consistent and will continue to perdure in anything that I do. For me, if it's not win-win, it's no-no, right? It's a no-no. Now, when politics comes to play, I don't know anymore if it's win-win. But I have a suspicion right away when I feel it coming that it's not going to be a win-win situation. I don't like politics. I think by now you pretty understand me. I don't like politics because it's always about a narrative. You know what? Uh, Either side of the equation, right, left, extreme left, I don't know, and neutral and independent, and all these people that try to have an etiquette to make you categorize them into a box. All of these things stink, to my humble opinion. It's not healthy. It's not positive. It's not constructive. It's about an agenda. It's about win and lose, and it is unfortunate. I have been competitive. Competition doesn't mean you need to have someone lose. That someone is not going to be first, maybe, but it doesn't mean that that person loses, right? It's not a question of always of ranking something. But competition is about if I have a better quality product and if I have a better service than you have, then I'm not winning over you, but I'm taking more market share if I'm able to convey the message to the market that I have a better product or a better service. Then you are going to keep your market share, but it will be a lower market share than mine. You'll just keep going with your market share and be happy with it. So that's, I think, how I see things. It's maybe simplistic to a certain extent. It's proportional to a half hour with you. And I thank you for joining us today. You can always send me, your messages through the website www.coachingpath.com. And also here, when I'm broadcasting, you have always on LinkedIn only the possibility to send your comments or your questions while I'm broadcasting and streaming this show. And after the fact, please make your comments. There is some of the platforms that allow you to do that everywhere. I think Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. I would love to see your comments. I would love people to see your comments. Anyway, I launched this idea. Whoever is out there and how many you are, I hope that I gave you something and you could get some value from this. And I will see you next week, hopefully.